Like, what strange inanimate object would you have as the Loverocks mascot? Oh,
It's moments like that that make it worthwhile. I mean, there's too many to mention, and oh yeah, I think overall the best festival I've ever been to is.
good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 67 of the UNCNTRD podcast. I'm Riley, this is my co-host Tom, and today, as always, we have a guest. Who do we have today, Tom?
For once, it isn't actually a member of a band. We have got.
That was we've got the lovely James Love from Loverocks Festival for anyone at home.
Thank you.
How are you today?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Very well. Not too bad. Now we're all connected. Very good.
That's amazing. Has your day been okay?
Yeah, not bad. It's the usual sort of running around like a headless chicken, but life goes on. Trying to juggle festival work and sort of daytime job as well. It's a bit full on at times, but we survive.
Yeah, I can imagine. But just to really bring it in, for someone unfamiliar with the festival, how would you describe it and put it over to someone new?
That hadn't been before. Well, okay, so you may remember a festival a few years ago called Rambling Man in Maidstone in Moat Park. And someone said to me a few years back, I think it was the first one we did after lockdown, and I thought it was a great compliment. He said to us, this is like a mini version of Rambling Man, which kind of sums up. It's friendly, it's small. The bands they feel sort of safe to walk around and interact with the crowd at the merch desk. We don't have a massive capacity. We've got a bigger license, like 1,200, but we're not going anywhere near that because we want to keep it small, friendly, keep the quality high. There's loads of big festivals out there, Bloodstock, Download, Made of Stone, Stone Dead, all great festivals. But we're trying to do something a little bit different, just concentrate on the food, the drink, and most importantly, the music.
Of course.
And good quality camping, I should add too. We're on a 4-star campsite, so there might be the odd portaloo, but it's really good quality 4-star facilities, so it makes it a little bit more civilized than the Download experience.
Oh, incredible!
That is incredible. So you have got a pretty stacked this year, in my opinion. I mean, we got 2 days this year. And we just can't wait. It honestly looks top notch.
Thank you. I mean, each year we sort of think, oh, that was amazing. Where do we go from here, sort of thing. And then, we always have an idea of who we're going to book for the following year, but then there's always stuff that surprises us. It doesn't feel real. I mean, this started off as a sort of joke in the pub years and years ago. Oh, wouldn't it be fun to do a festival at the farm? Just sitting in the pub with my mates when I was at uni, and it's kind of evolved from that. It eventually happened about 30 years later, and it's incredible. And now some of the bands that we've managed to book over the years, like Wayward Sons, Phil Campbell, The Answer this year, The Treatment, this is amazing stuff for us, as music fans. I mean, obviously we're a small festival and everything, but these are great bands, and I mean, so is everyone else on the bill. So yeah, we try and keep a good mix, good mix of stuff. I mean, I guess our brief is really just newer music. Obviously, we've got some established acts, but it's stuff that's breaking through. I think that's kind of our mission statement, as it were.
And with that, you mentioned some of the bands you've had on. Are there any particular bands that you've had on that really stood out to you as your major highlights?
There's been so many. Me and my co-director Simon, we kind of choose the bands, and his brother helps out. There's really 3 of us. We work together deciding who we'll have. And I can honestly say, I'm not just saying it for the camera, we don't book bands we don't like. So they've all been amazing. I mean, and it's like kids and guitars. You can't really have a favourite, but standout moments in terms of performance. I mean, in your back garden to have Phil Campbell playing Bomber was just an incredible moment. Couldn't really believe it was happening. That was an awesome moment for us. And Toby Jepson on stage saying how much he'd loved the festival with Wayward Sons. That was great. Other bands that are up and coming, when the Karma Effect first played, it was a real moment where everyone was doing, if they were doing something else, they just turned around and started watching the band and then came moving over. The same with Virgin Mary's, who not everyone knew last year. Well-established band, but a lot of our punters hadn't necessarily seen them or were that familiar. And they started playing, and once they started going, and Danny Dolan, I think it is, on drums, started beating away on, crashing the drums and the bell and stuff, people just came up to the stage and were watching it mesmerised. So it's moments like that that make it worthwhile. I mean, there's too many to mention, and the trouble with picking out a few is you're going to leave out, other great moments. Well, South of Salem as well, local band. I mean, they blew the roof off in the 2 consecutive years they played. I mean, they were amazing. The list is too long to mention. I wouldn't know where to start, really.
Yeah, South of Salem have been killing it lately, especially with their new album.
It's an awesome record. It's really epic. Good. It's fantastic. There's no weak track on it. And then all the singles, which you kind of got to hear before it came out, you think, oh, yeah, I'm really like that. And now I'm getting to the stage now when I spin it that there's all these other sleeper tracks that are sort of jumping out at me. Villain right at the end of the album, brilliant song, and Hellbound Heart. There's literally, to use a cliche, it's all killer and no filler. They really stepped up. I mean, Sinner Takes It All was an amazing debut, and we saw them play, I think, probably one of their first major live gigs as say them at Bloodstock, and it was a great moment just after lockdown in 2019. Fantastic. And we went to the album launch at the O2 in Bournemouth, and they absolutely packed it out in there. And I thought to myself, watching them, the last guy I saw on this stage was Ian Astbury from the Cult, and had the same number of people there. It was amazing, absolutely amazing, brilliant band.
Absolutely. I mean, as I say, they've been killing it, especially with their new incredible record. I mean, as you are a runner of festival yourself, I presume you have been to quite a few music festivals in your time. And are there any that were once again a major standout to you?
Oh yeah, I think overall the best festival I've ever been to is Hellfest in France. It's just on another level because the whole town gets behind it. I went twice. I didn't go last year. I couldn't get a ticket. I went to the anniversary one. Didn't do the whole week because I had to come back for Loverocks, but we could have done. But just jaw-droppingly good. It's friendly. It's well run. It's on another level, and the sort of artists they get there are just incredible. The best festival, if you ever get a chance, a European festival has to be done. I did download last summer. The bands were great. Yeah, you've got to do it. It's just a once in a lifetime experience. Download was good last year. It was overpacked with people. You can't fault the bands. It was an amazing lineup. And I went to a little festival up in Scotland called Wildfire last summer. A bit like us, but sort of similar sort of setup, really. Amazing, friendly, lots of breaking bands coming through there, run by nice people. Amazing location, run by Dave Ritchie. Brilliant festival, Wildfire up in Scotland. Well worth checking out.
I think it rings a bell. I think I've heard of it before. I just can't remember where.
Yeah, that's how.
Yeah, it's a good event. It's been running a couple of years now, so great. If you ever get a chance to go up there, make a holiday of it because it's so much fun. It was the most fun I had at a festival last year, notwithstanding who's on the bill. It was just the nicest, friendliest festival I've been to. Amazing.
Oh wow! I have to add it to the list.
Yeah, I'm sure Dave would have a chat with you. He's a really nice guy, really friendly.
Yes, definitely has to be on the festival bucket list.
And Hellfest, don't forget Hellfest. That's just stunning.
When I continue my French studies over in France, I'll have to give it a go. Tomo.
So, speaking about the festivals, past acts, hasn't happened this year yet. Have you got any ideas on who you want to book for next year?
Oh,
Are
that's a
any
good one,
bands
isn't it?
standing out to you?
Oh yeah,
that you'd like to
definitely.
play next year?
I can't tell you yet because I'd have to kill you all. It's we got some ideas because the honestly, joking aside, the most fun, well, apart from booking the bands, the most fun is announcing them. That
Yeah.
it's such a buzz. I can't tell you
Yeah.
as in, well, you get it as a music fan. You imagine you filled your garden up with loads of bands you really like, and you're waiting to tell all your friends about it. That's how we've got some ideas. Maybe a couple of people returning. And obviously lots of new stuff. You've got to keep it fresh. I think that's the key. You need a few anchor bands that we know people will like, but then you also want to be a little bit, you want to be adventurous. You've got to keep it fresh because it's really easy with bands you like and know, and you get to know them and they become friends and stuff. You've got to be careful you don't fall into the trap of just rebooking the same bands over and over again. As easy as and as fun as that would be, you've got to keep this sort of cycle rotating. So we do have some ideas yet. I'd love to tell you some of them, but some of them we haven't spoken to yet. Some we have. So I wouldn't want to say too much, but happy to do another chat with you guys nearer the time when we've sort of firmed up a few details. If you ever want to.
That sounds great.
Sounds good to us.
Sounds good. Yeah, with the festival, I mean, there's another one coming up. So where do you see it all culminating? Where do you see Loverocks Festival ending up? Like in 5, 10, however many years? Like, what's your end goal with it?
Well, if I had a dream, we always used to joke, we'd stop the festival when we booked Clutch. That would be our dream. But I mean, that's not going to happen because they're too big. But all joking aside, we'd love to just grow it gently. Like I said, we can't get too big because of the layout. And you guys will see it when you come and visit us in June. And you could lose something as well because we're not going to compete with Stone Dead and Steelhouse and Made of Stone. They're all great festivals. But we're going to keep it a little bit smaller. But keep the quality level really, really high in terms of the infrastructure. We're really lucky because we've got this 4-star campsite. So when we're not running a music festival, we're having campers come away with their V-dubs and tents and what have you, and shepherd's huts, all this kind of thing. So we're catering for customers all the summer. And then what we do is bolt the festival on top. So we're used to dealing with an influx of people and we've got the infrastructure there. We don't want to pack it out. You could fill the farm up with tents if you wanted to, but then the experience would become like any other festival. And we want to keep it small, not exclusive, because we're not exclusive in that sense. And we would never be like that. But we want everyone to feel like it's a VIP festival. We would never do that VIP thing. I think it's one of the most divisive and annoying things you can do at any event.
Yeah.
Personally, I hate it. If people want to do it, that's fine. But I hate it personally. We want everyone to feel welcome. We want it to feel like a party with friends, and that's what it feels like. And like I say, if you come and see us in June, you'll hopefully get a sense of that vibe. So we're not going to get massive. Grow it gently, and get some really good bands. Get some slightly bigger bands, and look after them. That's what we try and do. Look after all the artists, big and small, so they know that we're not the biggest festival on the circuit, but hopefully we'll be one of the best.
It's amazing then. So just try and keep the quality at the forefront.
Yeah. Well, because it's a big ask, right? Going to I remember a first festival I went to was Reading when I was about 18 or 19, I think it was. And even then, at that age, it was really grueling, being in a tent for 3 days, waiting for the Sisters of Mercy to come on. It was good, though, really enjoyed it. But it's a big ask asking anyone to stay in the field for 3 days. So if we can keep the sort of comfort level up, you'll never run out of toilet paper at Loverocks. That's a big boast, that, isn't it? But, hot showers, good food. You're not a million miles away from, we're near Ferndown and Bournemouth. If you run out of supplies, you can shoot off site and get them, So, it's about the quality of the experience, and looking after people, making sure they're not just a number in a field. They're our guests. They're our, a lot of them are friends now, but they're our guests. So we look after them. That's our philosophy.
That's a good way to have it.
got to make sure you keep hospitality.
Sorry, you're buffering a bit there, Tom. I didn't catch all of that.
Sorry,
I lost the sound.
Yeah, what I said is you got to make sure to keep the hospitality.
Absolutely, yeah, that's the forefront, both for the bands and for the guests. We try and look, for a small event, we try our best to look after the artists. We feed them, we give them something to drink, we give them food tokens, and if they want to camp on site, they can. Because there are some events out there, where artists aren't necessarily looked after too well. And we're still, at the end of the day, fans, and we look up and respect these people, and we want them to feel welcome, and we want them to feel comfortable, and want them to be at their absolute top of the game when they hit the stage, and making them feel welcome and looked after as part of that.
Yeah, that's it's definitely a good philosophy to have about it. Just I mean, obviously, only a festival, one of the biggest priorities are the bands. So making sure that they have a good of experience as the people watching, perhaps, it would definitely go a long way.
Yeah, definitely. That's really important. They're your guests as much as the people paying for tickets. That's just as important. And it's word of mouth as well, because all the bands, like us, we all talk to each other. All the bands talk to each other. And if you treat one band badly, or you don't meet their reasonable expectations, then word would soon get around. So we do our very best to do what we say we're going to do. And if they ask for any specifics within reason, M&Ms or whatever it might be, then we'll provide that, but within reason. But yeah, it's looking after them and treating everybody with respect, as you'd be expected to be treated yourself. It's not rocket science, really.
Yeah, well, we do seem to be out of time for this first meeting, so we'll wheel up a second one, which should be longer than this one, in just one moment, so we can continue this lovely conversation. So we'll see you very briefly in part 2, and welcome back to part 2. So I'll kick it off in a bit of a different vein than I usually kick off in part 2, with a question a bit more tailored to you specifically, because I mean, me and Tom have been dabbling in the festival industry as of late, and obviously you know much more about that than we do. So is there any advice you would give to someone who is trying to start a music festival of their own?
Yeah, well, there's loads of advice. I mean, the first thing is, we're lucky because it's we kind of own the site. I think one of the biggest battles or uncertainties is having a venue and a safe, guaranteed place to do it. Because you do hear stories of the park or wherever it might be that people are trying to hold the festival, pulling the plug on it. That happened up in Yorkshire with Rock in the Bowl, which was a really good little festival. Make your contacts, get good quality contractors, word of mouth, get a good production team behind you. The key is good production. You doesn't have to be a fancy stage, but the sound has to be tip top. Don't cut corners on production, because the bands want to sound as good as they can. That's such a key thing. So it's not a very obvious thing really when you're there, but you soon notice at a festival if the sound's bad. As I say, don't skimp on services in terms of what food stalls you've got. We use local beer, local breweries, I should say. We use local produce where we can with the caterers, and that all helps add to the experience. And ultimately, follow your own instincts on what bands you want to book. Have an idea of the sort of bands people are going to like, but throw in a few curveballs in there as well. Keep it fresh. There will always be, bands that you've booked and someone else will book. It's inevitable with the touring album release cycle that bands will crop up on bills. But, throw a few curveballs in there as well and surprise people. I think we got a band over from the US this year, Carbellion. They're amazing. And they're great. They're really good. We're just looking forward to seeing how people react to that. And prepare to be, stressed to the gills if you're going to run an event, because I don't know what you guys do for a day job, but you know, it eats up a lot of your time, and it can impact on, you know, your free time. I mean, you do it because you enjoy it, because you love music, but you've got to be willing to bite the bullet with it. You know, the funding of it is a big thing. Run your own bar. Don't get a third party to do it. We say to our guests, use the bar, because that's paying for the bands that you love. You know, drink beer and it pays for bands. You know, obviously you don't have to drink beer, but you get my drift. That's an important funding element.
Yeah.
With the festival, I think, controlling the bar. Yeah, I mean, of course, you know, you can get, you know, bar staff in and everything, but I think running the bar is quite important. I mean, we're learning all the time. I mean, I wouldn't, you know, pretend to be an expert. I mean, I think we were lucky in the sense that I've been working on the holiday park, and in my previous job, I was quite sort of client facing. So looking after people was an important part of that. Yeah. Never treat it as don't do it if you think you're going to turn a profit instantly. It's not about making mega bucks. You've got to have an absolute passion for music, because it's hard work, and there'll be a lot of disappointments on the way, a lot of frustrations, all sorts of things. You've got to and have a good team around you, you know, good friends, good mates, people you can trust, and don't be frightened of asking for help from other people in the industry. So yeah, I mean, there's so many things. It's such a big thing, a big undertaking. It's very hard to pinpoint it to one thing, but I'd say be prepared to give up a lot of time. And like I say, you know, the money side of it can be a little frightening at times. It's not a cheap thing to do. So you've got to be sure that you've got your ticket prices right. You know, you've got to be able to sell tickets. You know, marketing is difficult. We rely on word of mouth. You know, Facebook is a strange thing with its algorithms, and when it decides what you're going to see and what you're not going to see. We used to put ads in classic rock. I don't know whether that made any difference or not. Probably not. You just don't know. And I think some of our best advertising has been, you know, people that have been year on year telling their friends, saying you've got to come next year. So, don't get caught with any sort of like weird random marketing ideas. It's word of mouth. Just concentrate on doing the best event you can, and that will sell itself. And make sure you've got different bands, a few anchor bands, but get some different fresh stuff in there. Really, really important.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what else to say about that, really. I mean, I could talk for probably about 6 hours if you wanted me to. And by the end of it, you'd probably say, I'm never going to go near a festival in my life.
We'll have to definitely keep a lot of that in mind going forward, so that we can hopefully make ours even just a fragment as successful as yours has been.
Are you thinking of running an event then?
Yeah, at the moment we are in the midst. This is something Tom could probably talk about more than I, so I'll pass it to him.
Yeah. We're currently in the middle of preparing for UNCNTRD this year.
Cool.
We deemed as a one-off, we could possibly split into more. And yeah, it's going quite well. We've got a lot of promotional stuff going ahead for it.
That sounds cool. No, I'll keep a lookout for that. The other thing I was going to say is timing as well is important as well. It's really so much going on at the moment. You've got to be really careful about what dates you pick as well. That's a real battle sometimes, because people have their pet events that they go to.
Yeah, we've had
if that's the right word, but you know, and they'll always go to certain events. So trying to get into a new one is a bit of a battle sometimes.
Yeah. Pardon, sorry, but
that's all right. It's a long day.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we've got ours set for early July. Like just nipping that summer season, that festival season.
Yeah, it's a good plan.
Yeah, to hopefully kind of give it a bit of a jump start right off the bat. But I mean, yeah, it's just a learning as you go experience, really, at this stage. Just trying to feel it out from people who know better, and just trying to succeed in it, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you ever, I mean, not like I say, we don't profess to be experts in that or anything for that matter. But you know, if you do want any advice, you've got any questions, you know, fire us a message, because you know we go to, Simon and I go to other events. My girlfriend and I, we go to as many festivals and gigs as we can, and you know, we do it because we love it. And I like to, you know, it's nice to see other people succeeding as well. Another festival I should have mentioned earlier when you asked me about good ones is Call of the Wild up in Lincoln. They get it right because they get a good mixture of bands. They've got, you know, some of our favorites on there, but they always throw in some new stuff. So it's always good for checking out new bands. And it's on a showground site. So you've got, if you're camping, you've got a motorhome, you've got the plugins, you've got decent showers and loose again, and it's flat and it's designed for people. You know, it's not in a random bog in the middle of nowhere. You know, it's an area designed for people. Like Jody does in Southampton. Nosfest is really good because it's in the 1865. It's a good venue, and everything's there for you. So, you know, those are both good events. You know, you can learn a lot from them.
Yeah. We are, if I'm not mistaken, going to Nosfest this year, aren't we, Tom?
Not confirmed yet.
Not confirmed.
Last year, though.
Yeah, but we did last year.
Yeah, we were there too, actually. Yeah, it was good.
Hmm.
I thought Salem absolutely smashed it. Them and these Wicked Rivers were the two standouts for me.
Oh, they did, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, everyone was good. I mean, there were loads of good bands there, but those are the two that really stuck in my mind from that day.
Yeah, I actually unfortunately missed it last year. Like when I say we, it was more Tom that went. So I'm really hoping I can make it this year because Tom was raving about it for so long, and it just seems like such a good festival, and I'm always down for a music festival.
Yeah, so it's a nice one. I'm not going this year. I haven't been for a couple of years. I'm doing Bloodstock this year.
Oh, fair enough.
I'm looking forward to that. So I'll be in a field in Derbyshire. But yeah, no, it's a great event. You'll love it. It's really good. Well run.
Incredible. I'll have to report to you how I found it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Tom, I'll allow you to.
Am I allowed to ask what? Sorry, go on, mate.
No, sorry.
So,
go ahead.
I was going to ask what sort of you don't have to tell me, but what sort of bands are you looking at for your event? Are you able to sort of give an indication?
We in fact are actually.
Yes. It's all been announced already.
Has it? I'll have to. I must have missed that.
Everything's been. I think it was all announced. I want to say by early Jan, it was all announced.
I might have seen something about that. You know, it's keeping up with everything, isn't it, on social media these days? That's the thing. So I'll have a look when we finished our chat, and then we'll give it a share and and a push as well, because you know you can't have too much music in life.
Amazing, thank you. But this is actually a very good time to do some promotion for Uncensored Fest, which is on July 6th of this year. We're at Chinnery's Southend-on-Sea with 8 great bands such as Autonym, Unknown Refuge, Thieves of Liberty, Coral Snake, The Wicked Jackals, Black Lakes, Junction 28, and headlined by Collateral. You can buy tickets now.
That's a cracking lineup. Thieves of Liberty, brilliant band. Saw them so good. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but the singer, he's got a really good voice, you know, really powerful, strong vocals. Saw them up at Wildfire.
I know who you're on about.
Summer. Yeah, really good, solid band. And Collateral, great headliner. No, really good.
Yeah, we haven't done too bad with our little lineup. All bands that we've interviewed in the podcast before as well, just to try and give it that personal touch. But so please, you can go buy your tickets now from the link in the description and on our Instagram if you'd like to check it out. It'll be a really good event, and we really want it to succeed, and then we can do an even bigger one. Okay, thank you. That's my shameless self-promotion.
There's no shame in self-promotion.
Definitely not.
Good point. So, Are there any big names that you like love to try and get on for Loverocks just for 1 year?
What for the future? You mean? Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, the line's still
yeah, just
crackling.
any names that you'd love to feature.
I would love to. Yeah, I mean, there are bands. I mean, they fall into two categories. There are ones that might, that are not beyond the realms of possibility, and then there's obviously like the, the kind of dream bands, aren't there, that would never happen. I mean, bands that would really fit with what we do. If they knew what we did, they'd let you know that they would like it. But the bigger bands, it's hard to get through that layer of management and be taken seriously. Who would we like? That's a good one. I mean, it's not to say we would ever actually book them. I mean, a dream signing would be something like Rival Sons, because I think they're one of the best bands out there. I mean, they're massive now, aren't they? But Scott Holiday is such an incredibly inspired guitar player. He just doesn't really sound like anyone else. I think they'd be phenomenal. I mean, that would, like I say, a dream booking if budget wasn't a consideration. Blackberry Smoke, I mean, obviously very sad news last week about Brit Turner, very sad band. Seen them many times over the years. They're phenomenal, and they'd fit in with what we do. They played at Made of Stone, which obviously bigger than us, but again probably out of our budget. But a band like that would fit with our style and ethos of the festival. Those are two names that spring to mind. I'd also like at some point to get some heavier bands in as well. We do throw in some heavier stuff now and again. We had Black Lakes last year. But I do like to, we do like to mix it up a bit, Simon and I, throw in some curveballs. Yeah. A phenomenal band. I don't know, you probably heard of them. They're just so good. Green Lung. I don't know, again, if they're too big for us now, but they are superb, both recorded and live. Just an amazing band. I've seen them a few times now. I saw them on Clutch's last tour twice, and they were just incredible. Really good musicians, good songwriters. And a little different, doing their own thing. Green Lung, amazing band. If you ever get a chance, check them out.
Don't sound familiar, but I'll listen to some of their stuff later tonight.
Yeah, amazing band. Really can't recommend them highly enough. They're their own thing, bit different.
Yeah. Well, Tom, I'll let you ask a question to reform back to our normality structure.
Oh, so I've actually a really cool question here. I think it would bring a lot of personality to lovely little session. So, if they decided to make a nice little biopic about Loverocks and it, would there be a celebrity that you'd like to play yourself?
Oh, who would we get? Well, there'd have to be three main roles, because there's Simon and Scott as well. So I'll start with Simon, who you haven't met, but I think we would have to get Jeremy Irons to play Simon Jones, and you'll understand that when you meet him. Scott, joking aside, this goes back to, well, actually, it is a joke, going back years. I think we get Colin Firth to play Scott Jones, and me, I don't know. It would have to be an old bloke with a beard. So I don't know. I'm going to have to think of someone here. Caught me off guard. I don't know. Some B-list character actor, I think, you'd have to go someone with a beard. Can't think of anyone off the top of my head.
Just anyone with a beard.
Just
anyone with a beard will do. Even Brian Blessed will do. Brian Blessed, there we go. We'll say Brian Blessed. But he's much louder than I am.
Perfect.
Well, actually, I'm going to hit a double whammy question myself now, because I've realised there's one that I definitely could have asked that I didn't earlier. So, is there a particular mascot? So, right, you can have a mascot for Loverocks that cannot be a person or an animal. Like, it has to be a shelf or a CPU. Like, what strange inanimate object would you have as the Loverocks mascot that really encapsulates the festival?
We would have a tractor, because it is still a working farm. So we would rock up a tractor. We'd give it a kind of we give it a metal makeover. That's what we would do. A tractor.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And for my second question, I'll break out the old theatrics. Because we've spoke for around an hour now, but eventually we have to get to the meat and bone of it, the real soul searching part of it. So without dragging it on, I just need to know, what is the best sandwich?
The best sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's an easy question to answer, and it has to be pepperoni,
Ooh.
red pepper,
Ooh.
pickled chilies,
Ooh.
and mayonnaise,
Mm.
and
Mm.
crushed hula hoops
Ooh.
to finish it off. No sliced bread. It's got to be farmhouse loaf, inch thick.
That is crazy, but I really need one.
It's an assault on the senses, but trust me, it's worth it.
And I have to agree with you, thicker cut bread is so much better.
Has to be.
Honestly, I had a grilled cheese on like inch thick tiger bread the other week. Might be the best grilled cheese I've ever had.
Yeah.
It's just,
a good sandwich is defined by its bread. If you cut corners with bread or cut crusts even, then it's a lost cause, isn't it? Don't skimp on the bread, otherwise you might as well just put it between two pieces of plasticine. It's just not going to work.
yeah. I've been having a lot of baguettes lately, and I've realised that a malted loaf is much better than a standard one.
Exactly. Yeah, it's got a lot more body to it, and it adds a sweetness to it as well. It's to be applauded.
I'm somewhat of a sandwich connoisseur.
I can see that.
Oh, I made it my personality. But we are now approaching the very last question, completing my trifecta at the end here. So, what I'm going to ask you is, I would like you to make a band. Now, this band can be the headline of Loverocks, okay? Now, the rules are quite simple. You can have as many or as few people in the band as you'd like, as long as you have the fundamentals of a singer, a bassist, a guitarist, and a drummer. You can be in the band, but you don't have to. You could
Definitely not.
You could have anybody on any instrument, but they will not magically learn to play that instrument. You can have anyone dead or alive. They will be alive when they perform, unless you specifically request them not to be. And you know what? I'll mix it up. They also perform one cover song of your choosing.
One cover. Okay, so it sounds like the way you frame this, it doesn't even have to be a musician, does it?
No,
it doesn't even have to be
doesn't
a musician.
need to be.
No, but to keep it easy, I probably will, because it's late in the day. So on bass guitar, we have the late lamented John Entwistle from The Who, just incredible bass player. But we don't want to turn this into a tribute act, do we? So we need to liven things up on the lead guitar. So mercurial player, doesn't sound like anyone else. We'll go with Tom Morello on guitar, incredible player. Vocals, now let's go to drums. Again, I'm picking obvious ones here, just because he doesn't sound like anyone else. Distinctive, John Bonham, incredible drummer. I know that's an obvious choice, but he's one of the best, one of the greatest. So you can't get away from that.
Choice if it is correct.
Yeah, but you can't get away from his drumming. It's incredible. And vocals, well, there we go. That's a good one, isn't it? Well, we could have a second guitar as well, couldn't we? I suppose.
We could have a 12th guitar.
We have three guitars, couldn't we? Yeah, it's good enough for Maiden. Vocals, that's a difficult one. There's so many good vocalists out there. So I'm going to go for Alec Guinness on vocals.
Hey. And is that your
Just
full band?
Wouldn't it? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Alec Guinness on vocals. There we go.
Okay.
We're done.
Okay. And just like that brings us to the end of the question section.
Solid.
This is the time now where we give you the floor. If there is anything that you would specifically like to promote, or if there's any questions you may have for Tom and I, this floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Well, I'll do a shameless plug as well. We've sold out all of the standard camping at Loverocks 7 for June this year, but we have now got limited overflow camping. Now, unlike Download, and there's nothing wrong with Download, it's a good festival, it is not a 4-mile walk away. It is 6 minutes walk from the arena, and it will have showers and loos in it. We've opened up an extra field just because the demand's there. So there'll be some limited overflow camping pitches available on Eventbrite. Well, they are now, actually. There's not many of them, but they're there if people do want to get a last-minute camping plot. And we still have a few 3-day and 2-day tickets left, but not a vast amount. As I say, our plan is not to overpack the event. So get them while they're hot.
Incredible.
And there you have it.
Yeah, so definitely check it out, guys. It sounds from everything we've heard today and everything I've seen, it seems like an incredible festival with clearly such passion and love poured behind it. So I do implore to check it out, and I'll have to check it out at some point in the near future.
Well, you guys are welcome to come down this June and see what we're doing, because we are trying to do something a little different in terms of the feel of it. So please come on down and visit. You're more than welcome.
I'd love to, and I very much may. But that does bring us to the end of this episode. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for coming as well.
Thank you.
Had a blast. Check Loverocks Festival and us on Instagram. Please subscribe because it helps a lot to push the agenda that we exist. Buy some Uncensored Fest tickets. They're pretty reasonably priced. 8 bands. That's an all day of music. Oh God, Spotify. We are on Spotify now. So you can listen on the go. You can listen in the gym, or in an English lesson, or at Tesco. So make sure you do that, please. And just have a very good evening, everyone. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.